Let's discuss renin angiotensin system in a simplified form. Renin angiotensin system is one of the mechanisms by which body maintains its blood pressure. It is responsible for long-term regulation of blood pressure. Let's have a look over nephron, which is a part of the renin angiotensin system. This is a schematic diagram of nephron, which consists of glomerulus, which is contained in the renal corpuscle. It is Bowman's capsule, which contains a tuft of capillaries called glomerulus. The Bowman's capsule continues as proximal convoluted tubule and then loop of Henle with its descending limb and ascending limb, and then distal convoluted tubule which continues as collecting tubule and it opens into collecting duct. Glomerulus receives blood via an arteriole called afferent arteriole, and the blood leaves glomerulus via an arteriole called efferent arteriole. A part of distal convoluted tubule comes in contact with a part of afferent arteriole of the same or different nephrons. Afferent arteriole and the cells of distal convoluted tubule together make a system called juxtaglomerular apparatus because of its proximity to glomerulus. Let's have a look of juxtaglomerular apparatus, which is responsible for production of renin. This is juxtaglomerular apparatus. This is afferent arteriole. This is the wall of afferent arteriole, which contains modified cells called epithelioid cells, and these cells are responsible for production of renin. These epithelioid cells come in contact with the cells of distal convoluted tubule. These specialized cells of distal convoluted tubules are called macula densa cells. This is the cross section of a distal convoluted tubule. This is its lumen. The cells of distal convoluted tubule have a special ability to sense the level of sodium in the tubular fluid which passes through the distal convoluted tubules. Whenever these cells sense that there is low sodium level in the tubular fluid, they send a signal to the epithelioid cells present in the wall of the afferent arteriole. Upon stimulation from distal convoluted tubules, these epithelioid cells, which are actually present in the wall of the afferent arteriole, produce renin. So, the renin is produced when there is low sodium level in the tubular fluid, which can be a consequence of low sodium level in the blood or hypotension, resulting in increased sodium reabsorption in the proximal convoluted tubule, ultimately resulting in decreased sodium delivery to distal convoluted tubule. So whenever there is low sodium level in the blood or there is hypotension, there is decreased sodium level in the tubular fluid in distal convoluted tubule, and the cells in the distal convoluted tubule sense low sodium level in the tubular fluid and send a signal to the afferent arterial cells called epithelioid cells to produce renin. There is another direct way of producing renin. These epithelioid cells receive nerve endings from the sympathetic nervous system, and these epithelioid cells have beta 1 adrenergic receptors. Whenever there is sympathetic stimulation, these epithelioid cells produce renin in response to sympathetic stimulation. So renin can be produced in response to sympathetic stimulation, or if there is low sodium level in blood or there is hypotension. So when renin is produced in response to low sodium in distal convoluted tubule or in response to sympathetic stimulation, it enters bloodstream. There is another substance called angiotensinogen produced by the liver. Renin acts on angiotensinogen, which is produced by the liver, and converts angiotensinogen into angiotensin 1. Angiotensin 1 circulates in the blood. When it passes through the capillaries in the lungs, it is converted into angiotensin 2 by an enzyme called angiotensin converting enzyme, and it is present in the endothelial cells of pulmonary capillaries. Angiotensin 2 is the active form of angiotensin. It circulates in the blood and reaches adrenal gland. It acts on the adrenal cortex. It stimulates production of aldosterone from the zona glomerulosa of the adrenal cortex. Zona glomerulosa is the outermost part of the adrenal cortex. In response to increased aldosterone, there is increased sodium reabsorption from the collecting tubules and collecting ducts of nephrons. And increased sodium reabsorption results in increased water reabsorption as well. And in this way, aldosterone helps to maintain blood volume and maintain blood pressure. Sodium is exchanged with potassium and hydrogen ions. So aldosterone not only results in reabsorption of sodium, but it also results in loss of potassium and hydrogen ions from the kidneys. So, in summary, renin is produced from the epithelioid cells present in the afferent arterioles of the kidney whenever there is hypotension or low sodium level in blood. Renin acts on angiotensinogen produced by the liver, and it converts it into angiotensin 1. Angiotensin 1 is converted into angiotensin 2 by enzyme angiotensin converting enzyme present in the lungs. Angiotensin 2 acts on adrenal cortex and results in stimulation of production of aldosterone. Aldosterone acts on the collecting tubules of the nephrons, resulting in increased reabsorption of sodium and increased loss of potassium and hydrogen ions from the kidneys. Increased sodium reabsorption results in increased water reabsorption, and in this way it helps to maintain blood volume and maintain blood pressure in the long term. This is called renin angiotensin aldosterone system.